Hi there, this is Matt at State of Flux here with a review for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. That's a mouthful, but this is the 7th Ninja Turtle movie to hit the theatrical market. So, what can we expect? This is not an unnoticeable blatant ripoff of the style of the Spider-Verse animated films. And I will say, much like those films, it is pretty. And that's kind of the biggest thing going for it. Seth Rogen wrote the screenplay, and what he brings to it is the adolescent mindset. And the first half of this movie is really quite good, so much so that I thought I was watching the second best Ninja Turtle movie of the entire bunch. I still think that the best film is inarguably that first one. I know a lot of people have reverence for the second one, but that one is nowhere near as good as your nostalgia makes you think. But the first half of this film brings life and energy that was really kind of unique. However, even with the first half, I had some issues here and there that I'll get into at the end of the review. But it's really the second half of the second act where the movie started petering out a little bit for me. And that was once the Turtles decide to go against the Superfly, the not Baxter Stockman character. And I liked that aspect, but it was when the other mutants in the movie started turning on the not Baxter Stockman that I started being like, I don't know about this. The last act of this movie just is straight up not good. And I don't think it's a spoiler, or a major spoiler anyway, to say that there's like a giant kaiju monster that the Turtles kind of go up against. And that happening is the moment where I kind of dipped out. I am still going to give this movie a recommendation. I don't think it's a bad movie, and the first half really holds a lot of the weight of the film. With a lot of good voice work, particularly for the four Turtles, and Jackie Chan as Master Splinter. I also give a shout out to Paul Rudd, who voiced like skateboarding Gecko. That was pretty fun. But the first half of this movie is so enjoyable that I feel like I can't not recommend it because I had such a good time to that point. And as I say, the last half of the second act isn't bad, but it just starts dipping in quality until it actually becomes not good. But for most of 2/3 of a movie being good, I'm going to give this a very soft recommendation. The one thing that is not lost on me, and this is the thing that I think is so weird, and I was discussing with my wife after the movie, was critics were really against the first, particularly those first 3 Ninja Turtle movies, but really, if you look at the negative reviews for any Ninja Turtle movie on Rotten Tomatoes, just go and pick a random review, find one. I guarantee you will see something to the effect of this, which is that the Turtles are interchangeable. They have no character unto themselves, and they're only identifiable by the mask they wear and the color. They're color-coded personalities, and that's all you get. And I kind of took umbrage with that. I think if you watch like the first Ninja Turtle movie especially, the 4 Turtles definitely have very distinct personalities, different from each other, but they are brothers, so there's that similarity there. This is the first film of the entire 7 movies that have had theatrical release that has gotten a net positive on Rotten Tomatoes. In fact, it's in the 90s currently as we speak. Whereas the previous high was that very first Ninja Turtle movie with a 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. So this is by leaps and bounds doing better than any of the other ones. And I would say the biggest criticism for this movie isn't that the last act is kind of poor, it's that the 4 Turtles are completely interchangeable. You could not tell the difference between any damn one of them outside of the color coding on their face and how they were animated, with the sole exception of Leonardo, who has any kind of character development. which, there you go. This one that's finally getting good reviews, the major criticism I would hurl at it is that the damn turtles are interchangeable, which is what was lambasted against all 6 other prior incarnations, when, in fact, the first movie and that fourth movie, TMNT, did a fair amount of work to really differentiate who these characters truly are, and that I think it's very dismissive to just say that they're color-coded characters. Not the case for this film. That's my big issue with the film. That said, let's go into the positives. I did like the voice work. I liked the animation, even though I recognize that it is very much a nod to the success of animation with the Spider-Verse films, and I think it works better in Spider-Verse. Had they gone a more painted route, this looks more like pastel kind of like paint crayon work, but if they had gone with more like painted work to evoke the Rembrandt, the Renaissance era artist that these characters are, I think it would have been a little more successful, and that was what I was originally kind of reading from the trailer, but when you watch the movie, it's very much, it felt like I was just watching kind of a stab at Spider-Verse. That said, I do think it's cool that we are in an era where major motion picture studios are taking chances with their animation in providing something that isn't standard or ordinary or everyday and doesn't have the either DreamWorks kind of Shrek look or the Disney kind of classic animated look. So I still give it a net positive there. I liked, as I say, that first act. There are jokes that land pretty hard in the first act as well. So I am giving it a very mild 3-star review. I'm also going to give a minor little sprinkling of spoilers from here on out, but they are incredibly minor, so much so that I don't think it would bother you to learn this, and in fact, you might come away liking the movie better if you know this going in. So, minor spoilers in 3, 2, 1. One of the other things I wasn't in love with is how this film changed like the canon I was familiar with for the Ninja Turtles, in the sense that the Turtles being created and Splinter finding them and stuff like that is relatively similar, but Splinter having an abhorrence of humanity, it kind of makes sense because he's a rat and humans would have like been hateful towards him. But the reason that he teaches these turtles how to do ninjutsu and stuff like that just didn't, I think it was a joke that just didn't really land for me, but it was, he'd taken them up into the world and everybody saw them as freaks and monsters and started throwing things at them, so they went to hide once more. And he had them learn from kung fu movies and stuff like that. And that's, like, he's the master Splinter, and that he didn't really read to me as like this great, powerful educator and whatnot. He just seemed like a father figure throughout the thing. But in every other incarnation that I can think of Ninja Turtles that I'm familiar with, which are the 2 versions of the cartoons and the 6 previous movies, Splinter always was both a mindful master of ninjutsu and was educating and honing their abilities to be masters that within themselves, while also being a father figure to them. In this movie, it just didn't really, that part really just didn't land for me. And the movie like gives you Baxter Stockman, but he doesn't ever become the Baxter Stockman that we're kind of familiar with. And then you have like Bebop and Rocksteady and a couple of the other classic mutants in there, but they seem to be there just for show and ultimately not really that bad of guys, just misguided and becoming heroes themselves throughout the course of the story. Didn't really work for me, but there you have it. That's all I gotta say. Maybe you'll like it better than I did. I've talked to a couple people that really, really loved this movie, like genuinely loved it. So hopefully you're one of those people. Let me know what you thought of the film in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, peace.